For Israel, it is an existential threat, and for America, is not the same. So, are you on the same page as far as a ceasefire, a deal is concerned?
Yes, we are on the same page. We are same page to the degree that we are not identical when it comes to our interests necessarily. For the United States, they were looming over the Gulf in a way that actually would put in danger a lot of American interests.
Every time there is an effort for a peace deal, Israel bombs it out, literally bombs it out.
Well, I think that this is a conspiracy theories are completely baseless, and already since 1987 that it was talking about this threat that was looming from Iran.
नमस्कार, मैं कादम्बिनी शर्मा हूँ आपके साथ। अमेरिका, इजराइल और ईरान का युद्ध एक बेहद गंभीर मोड़ पर पहुँच गया है। कई तरह की बातें हो रही हैं, कई तरह की ऐसी खबरें आ रही हैं जो बाद में पता चलती हैं कि नहीं है। कई ऐसे प्रोपेगेंडा भी आ रहे हैं जो असल में नहीं है। क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, कई चीज़ें हैं। सभी पक्षों को सुनना ज़रूरी है और इसीलिए आज हमारे साथ एक बेहद ख़ास मेहमान हैं। हमारे साथ भारत में इजराइल के राजदूत रुवे नज़ार हैं। सर, वेलकम सो मच। थैंक यू फॉर टॉकिंग टू मी।
Thank you, Kadambiri, for this invitation. It's a pleasure.
So it is a difficult time. You're here in India and you have to monitor everywhere what is going on and keep your cool, do your work here. It's like, seems a lot.
Well, it's not much compared to the challenge that we have to sustain in Israel. As you know, since the 7th of October 2024, Israel is undergoing a very difficult challenge. We've been attacked in the Gaza Strip with a terrible, atrocious terrorist campaign that has killed 1,200 of our soldiers and citizens. And since then, we've been basically dealing with a threat that is coming from the Islamic Republic of Iran, because they are the ones that have been building this entire machinery of destruction around the state of Israel with the proxies, with Hezbollah that had 150,000 rockets, with Hamas and all the militias in Syria and Iraq, in Yemen, etc. But on top of that, what the regime was preparing is two existential threats that we had to deal with. One is the military nuclear threat, because we knew that they are breaking out to a nuclear weapon, a nuclear arsenal of weapons, and the ballistic missile threat. They were producing a few hundreds of them per month, and they were getting into an arsenal of 20,000. And their idea was to destroy us by the year 2027. So we had to engage in a very, very difficult effort, the longest war in our history, more than our independence war,
Right.
to peel off these proxies one by one and finally get to the existential threats which with we are dealing now. Okay?
Right.
So my job as an ambassador is much easier than the job that our citizens have been pertaining, because they have been running for shelters for a long time. Our soldiers that are doing the hard work in the fronts, in Lebanon, in Gaza. The pilots of our Air Force that have been working tirelessly to neutralize all this military machinery that the Iranians had built. But I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, because I think that finally, together with the United States, we are debilitating this regime to the extent that they won't be able to pose existential threats in the near future.
Well, I was there in Israel on 8th night. 7th, the attack took place, and I was there on 8th night. Since then, there is this continuous war, and it has seen several phases. But now what it looks like is that the United States of America is keen to make a deal with Iran. Where does Israel stand on that? Because for Israel, it is an existential threat, and for America, is not the same. So are you on the same page as far as a ceasefire, a deal is concerned?
Yes, we are on the same page. We are same page to the degree that we are not identical when it comes to our interests necessarily. But I think both the leader of the United States, President Trump, and the leader of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, understand that we had no choice but to act to remove these threats, because they were, for us, they were existential, but for the United States, they were looming over the Gulf in a way that actually would put in danger a lot of American interests that have to do with their economic connections with the Gulf, with their presence in the region, and with energy markets and other things. This is something that you have to direct towards them. But I think that at the end of the day, we see eye to eye that we have to debilitate this regime. Hopefully, we can get to an agreed conclusion. But even if we don't, we will finish this war in a situation in which this regime won't be able to throw havoc and terror over the region of West Asia in the way that they have been doing in the last few decades.
Well, there are allegations on Israel that US is ready to make a deal, but somehow President Trump was pushed into it or manipulated into it by Israel. And every time there's an effort for a peace deal, Israel bombs it out, literally bombs it out. How do you look at that?
Well, I think that this is conspiracy theories are completely baseless, and we are seeing it as part of the campaign to try to delegitimize what the policies of the U.S. president are. When you look at his point of view, you could see already since 1987 that he was talking about this threat that was looming from Iran. So at the end of the day, this is an independent American decision, and it happens to coincide now with our interests. It wasn't like that in the past necessarily. We had difference with the United States. We might have difference in the future. But I think in the context of the current conflict, I think that we both got to the conclusion that if we don't act now, these threats are going to become such that cannot be undermined, because there were the Iranian decision following our attack in June, when we neutralized their military nuclear effort, was to go so deep into the ground that will make them immune and will make actually their plan of domination of our region and of extermination of Israel possible.
So tomorrow, in next, like we have heard the press conferences by President Trump. So in, let's say, 12 hours, 15 hours, 48 hours, next 72 hours, if he says that US is going to make a deal, will Israel stand by that?
Yes, we are coordinated. We have supported the diplomatic effort of the United States. I think that the 15-point plan that has been put forward has been very clear and includes the three major threats that were emanating from Iran: the proxies, the terror proxies, the military nuclear program, and the ballistic missile program, and the need to curb that plan as well. So I think that this is something that we agreed that we need to get. Now, unfortunately, what has been happening is that the Iranian regime missed the opportunity time and again because it miscalculated the response of the United States and Israel. And this is having devastating consequences mainly for them, but also, of course, for the region. War is not something that we we like to pursue, but we have exhausted all other means. And we are trying each time after we take military action to try diplomacy again. This is what is happening now. So I hope that the regime will actually take the opportunity and we will reach a diplomatic solution before the end of the President Trump's ultimatum.
Well, they seem to have refused once again the reports which were coming in. Now, it has also been said by Israel, and I think I have heard you say as well, that this entire operation, this will change the face of Middle East. But what we are seeing happening in other Gulf countries, it looks like the change would be very different. Would it be to Israel's liking? Would it be something Israel would be able to work with? Have you looked at that kind of situation?
Well, look, every conflict has implications and repercussions. We said that this is going to change the face of the Middle East because by neutralizing the Iranian threat, we and many other countries will feel freer to pursue our aspirations when it comes to development of our economy, when it comes to regional cooperation. Of course, at the end of the day, it's up to other countries to decide whether they want to engage with us or not. But what we've seen in the last 5 years, following the Abraham Accords, is that we've been able to increase the coordination we have, both with the countries we have diplomatic relations with, but also with the countries we don't have diplomatic relations with. And under the umbrella of CENTCOM, we've been able to coordinate the defense of the skies of the Middle East. So that gives us hope that once we are rid of this terrible threat that was coming from Iran, we'll be able to do more. But at the end of the day, it's not only up to us.
But there's also a worry, which has happened, let's say, for example, in Afghanistan, it happened. So there's a worry that if this regime is gone and there's no one else to take that place, there might be rise of militant groups which might take control, and that will be another problem.
Well, the problem was that with the might of this regime, they have created, with investments of billions and billions of dollars, rogue elements, terrorist organizations, and groups that were taking over one country after another in our region. Mm-hmm. Before the 7th of October, Iran was controlling Beirut, Baghdad, Damascus, and Sana'a. Okay? With proxy terror organizations that were more powerful than armies. So yes, there is a danger that will be chaos, some kind of chaos inside Iran, and that will have repercussions, but that is going to be much less than the chaos and the havoc that all their proxies have created in our region in the last 20 years. Okay, so you know, you always take risks when you opt for a military option. But the risks are dwarfed compared to the risks and the threats we had to sustain when this revolutionary, theocratic, fanatic, and radical regime was pursuing its campaign of aggression.
Well, you say that risks have to be taken. Now, risks are not only on the battlefield, they're also where the relations of the countries are. And it looks like several Western countries, especially the NATO countries, some bridges seem to have been burnt by Israel, by those countries. And also, there's lots of tension with United States as well, let's say with France. Or last night we heard about Japan not helping, and South Korea not helping. So there seems to be a very major impact on relations as far as other countries are concerned. Do you ever worry about that your number of your friends somehow has come down after this campaign?
Well, not necessarily. First of all, because all of our friends are seeing the Iranian response mm-hmm. as something they condemn. Mm-hmm. There's no reason whatsoever why Iran should punish countries that are not involved in the conflict.
Right. So
they are punishing India, they are punishing other countries for no reason whatsoever. That has been condemned by the UN Security Council, number one. Number two, you know, each country will have to follow their own interests. We are not going to dictate to other countries, you know, how they're going to behave. We think that together with them, we have exhausted all other means. And there might be a difference because they didn't perceive that they were under existential threat coming from Iran. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were also surprised because, unlike what some people have estimated, Iran was pretty advanced in a program of ICBMs. They fired a missile to Diego Garcia with a range of more than 4,000 kilometers. Mm-hmm. That means that basically Iran, that has been helping Russia in its war with Ukraine, has the entire European continent covered by their missiles. So not only Shahed drones were attacking European soil, but also they had the potential to attack them otherwise. But you know, it's up to them to decide to what extent it is a threat against them and whether they want to act or not. We didn't have the luxury of waiting or conditioning our action on their decision because we have to defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm. True. Well, let's talk about Lebanon. It has been said time and again that Israel does not want to occupy any part of Lebanon. But now what we are seeing is that the forces are on the ground, the south area of Litani River. Now there is presence and it is being made into a buffer zone. It's been called occupation, it's been called invasion. So how do you look at it?
Well, we had a very clear path that was agreed upon with the new government of Lebanon only 1 year ago, by which they are going to implement a program not to allow Hezbollah to come south of the Litani, and they are going to dismantle Hezbollah from their weapons. They even declare that they have dismantled Hezbollah from the weapons south of the Litani, which is false. Because we saw when one day after this operation started, that Hezbollah unilaterally attacked Israel from places south of the Litani. It means that they still had huge infrastructure. Yet we have destroyed a large chunk of it. 1 year back.
Right.
They were having 150,000 rockets with 15,000 commandos ready to invade Israel. We neutralized that, but still they have about 20,000 rockets. They had massive presence south of the Litani. So the Lebanese government didn't meet the commitment. There's also a UNIFIL force there that wasn't doing their job. So Israel was attacked and is now defending itself. Now, people have to be held accountable. You cannot blame Israel for an agreement that the Lebanese side hasn't implemented and has resulted again in an attack against Israel that wasn't provoked by the Israeli side. We weren't interested in doing anything in Lebanon, but we were attacked again by Hezbollah. So now we are retaliating, and we will do whatever is necessary to diminish the threat that is coming from Hezbollah towards our cities. The entire area of northern Israel is being attacked now, and we have a responsibility to protect our citizens. This is what we're doing.
Well, you have talked about UNIFIL. There are 600 Indian soldiers there in staff with UNIFIL in Lebanon, and we have seen that they have been caught in the crossfire. So is there any measure being taken that this does not happen again?
It's not that they were caught in the crossfire. It was that Hezbollah has been directing more than 165 attacks against UNIFIL positions and bombing areas beside UNIFIL outposts in order to create international
Pressure.
outrage. Okay, so they are acting in a very responsible way that is creating casualties within the UNIFIL force. And there is already a decision of the UN Security Council to finish the mandate of this force next year because it is not fulfilling its mission. It wasn't allowed to enforce the ceasefire agreement. It wasn't entering into the places in which Hezbollah was, occulting missiles and rockets, etc. So we have to try to seek practical solutions,
Right.
and stop supporting schemes that don't work.
Well, we have seen some anti-war protests in Israel. So how come this is happening?
Well, we are a democracy. People are entitled.
So that's
to,
okay.
Look, people are entitled. There is an overwhelming majority, according to the polls in Israel, for this military effort that we are doing. But there are people that are against it. That's perfectly okay. We don't, unlike what is happening in Iran, we don't hang opponents, political opponents. Okay. Unfortunately, what we've seen in Iran is that people that were out to protest, 18-year-old kids, are being hanged all the time. So, this is part of our democratic life.
Well, the fallout has been that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and apart from other countries, India is also being impacted because lots of LPG oil came from the Strait of Hormuz. So, have you had any conversation with officials here, and what shape that conversation has taken?
Well, first of all, again, this is a way of the Islamic regime in Iran of punishing uninvolved countries. This is completely legitimate. The fact that they are doing it is their problem, and they are basically causing repercussions for a country like India, which is completely unacceptable. Now, we, of course, are in contact with our Indian counterparts. Our Prime Minister has talked with Prime Minister Modi. Our Foreign Minister Gideon Sar spoke with Secretary Jai Shankar, and we exchange, ideas and ways of, first of all, how to protect the citizens involved, whether it be Indians in Israel or other aspects that have to do with the security situation. But I think that when you look at the picture, although repercussions cannot be completely avoided, there's been a lot of flexibility, especially from the US side, when it comes to easing conditions for India to procure whatever it needs. And we've seen a change in the approach of the United States when it comes to relieving even sanctions on Iran that would allow to buy Iranian oil. At this point, Venezuelan oil that is coming now at greater quantities and is being refined in the Reliance refineries or Russian oil. So I think that as a result of the responsible policies, although the price of oil has been going up, it didn't go up to the extent that reminds you what happened back in the 70s when the price of oil went up 400%.
So I would like to believe, and maybe you have felt as an ambassador here, India is much more welcoming for Israelis than many other countries. With this crisis which has hit, do you see any change in approach by, let's say, you see social media, you go out, you talk to people, your staff talks to people?
No, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Although I know that people are upset with this rise, this spike in especially gas prices, LPG. I think that a lot of people understand here that we did it because we didn't have a choice. And that is really existential for Israel. Because they know very well the track record of the Iranian statements that they want to destroy the state of Israel and the preparations and the attacks they have been launching against Israel for a long period of time. So generally speaking, I feel a lot of sympathy for Israel coming from the Indian public.
Well, so in this time as an ambassador, what's the biggest challenge for you in India as ambassador to India, and what has been the biggest relief for you?
Oh, well, I think that, as a result of this military effort, we have now diverted from concentrating on solely on the bilateral issues to deal more with regional issues. So we will have to, pick up after this war, to pick up again, to re-engage in the huge momentum we had coming up to Prime Minister Modi's visit in Israel. That was really a breakthrough, a historical breakthrough in terms of the agreements we signed and the special strategic partnership we have declared. But yes, you have to little bit sometimes swim against the current, because there's no doubt that war is something that's bad for everybody. And when you in Israel, we've been in this situation for a long time now. And sometimes you have a challenge to transpire that into a public that is less involved in what's going on in our region. But I think that, as I told you before, the sympathy is there, and that's a great relief. I think the fact that both Israel and India understand what the fight against terror means is something very precious, that also leads not only to understanding and sympathy, but also to cooperation.
Well, one last question to you. If you had to say one thing not to the government, not to the bureaucrats, but to Indian people today, what would it be?
That the effort we're doing now, although is temporarily painful, will give in the long term a lot of opportunities to our region and to the cooperation, not only between India and Israel, but also between India and the Gulf countries, the future of more than 10 million Indians that are working in the Gulf, the future of implementation of projects of connectivity between India and the West, because India has signed all these, agreements with the main trade blocs, and we're going to see billions of dollars moving. So an area that is not under the looming shadow of military, nuclear, and ballistic missile equipped radical theocratic regime is something that is going to give us a lot of opportunity. So yes, we are undergoing a time of uncertainty. It's very difficult to say when this is going to end, but I'm very optimistic that together with all the forces in the world that are fighting radicalism, that are fighting terrorism, we will find a way of building a better future for all of us.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
giving me this time, and I just hope that peace prevails everywhere.
Thank you. Namaste.